Hey! That was, I think that was a technical difficulty. The crowd, the crowd did not clap on cue. Go! Clap! Clap for me. Thank you, guys. My name is Danny Alex. You are watching Pop Rageous Live, the Tuesday Big Show. It's going to be a shorter show today, guys. I'm moving. I'm right in the middle of moving. I got everything packed except like what's only left in the studio. You know what it's like moving, right? So I'm going to move. I got to move everything. When I shut this down, this show, all this stuff goes in. Tomorrow morning, movers come, boom. And then we're live again on Thursday for the Thursday Big Show. I'm not going to miss a beat. But tonight might be a little bit shorter because I'm doing the move. I am just beat. You know what it's like moving, right? You're putting everything in boxes. But I wanted to do the show, even if it's a shorter show, even if we do it like 45 minutes an hour. There's some things I wanted to talk about, and you know, the polarity. It's amazing how you can have something as good as. And I think most people would agree. I would say the majority of people would have to agree. Anyone who is a real, let's say, industry person, who is a screenwriter, who is, in the biz, of course you don't have to be in the biz. I'm just saying, is going to say that Night of the, well, I guess it should be the Nine Kingdoms, right? Because Egg, basically, little Egg, he set us straight. And compared to Starfleet Academy. Now there's not much going on out there, guys, right? There's not much. There's no TV and there's no movies. So there's really, you're kind of left talking with a few subjects, but these shows are resonating very loud. Well, one for the good stuff and one for the basically, crap. The continued destruction of what is an amazing, 60 years, 6 decades. I mean, that's Star Wars is only 2 years older than me. Star Trek. My apologies, Star Trek. So, this is really something that's it's hard. It's hard, but. When you see these people, basically these people have taken control of amazing franchises, right? Franchises that we have absolutely loved and grown up with. And it's hard to see such ridiculous, stupid, idiotic, moronic, juvenile, amateur kind of. How does someone get what always baffles, for like me and anyone who I know who's in the business? How does a TV show like Starfleet Academy? I don't know if Alex Kurtzman has the power. I guess he does. I guess Kurtzman does have the power to say, here, we're 20 million an episode, $200 million we're going to throw at this. I guess he has that power. Now, on the other hand, you get something like Night of the Seven Kingdoms and Night of the Nine Kingdoms, as Egg has. It was so cute at the end. He names off all 9 kingdoms. You're like, shh. What was George R. Martin thinking? Can he not count? It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I guess it's known as the Seven Kingdoms, and the Seven Kingdoms it shall remain. But the one thing was, like, you couldn't. So episode 7. Let's start. Let's just get right to the our first topic of conversation. Let's touch on Night of the Seven Kingdoms, because it was a great way to have Game of Thrones lore sort of thrust back into our lives. It's not going back to the old, Game of Thrones days, Sunday nights when, you'd get a lot of you probably got the full spread, like the food, right? You're all eating for me, it was either McDonald's or Indian food, because I love Indian food. And every night it was like, garlic naans, tandoori chicken, the whole 9 yards. And it was a tradition, right? We had Game of Thrones traditions. And this would kind of rekindle that spirit. It took a little bit to kind of, like anything new, and we're only given 6 half-hour episodes. But those 6 half-hour episodes, what they did is not only did it fuel this passion, desire for good TV, and there was a little bit of good TV, Landman, Mobland. There's some of the old stuff. I'm still going through The Expanse. What else? There's something else. I tried to reorientate myself with Discovery, but it gets bad so fast, right? Star Trek Discovery. I watched a little Orville. I've watched a little, but I'm trying to get my chops into some of the older stuff too. But it makes me want to watch Game of Thrones, right? Start from the very first season. And that might even happen. I mean, if it gets slow enough. But that is what good TV ultimately does, right? So there is there is one article on Variety where there is a little bit of information. Where is the Night of the Seven Kingdoms? That's the one. Let's share that. Let's give that take a looky boo. Yep, someone. Oh, hey, Mike. Expanse is a beautiful sci-fi show through and through. I'm not surprised that you agree because I think we have very similar tastes. I hope they give Stargate. Yeah, I mean that's what we're hoping on, right? One thing, the kind of storytelling and quality I love, and I didn't finish it, but I love Stargate Universe because that was supposed to be 5 seasons, right? Sci-Fi channel was bought, got canceled. Conceptually, from a writing standpoint, just concept. Cheers, yeah. Just for concept, it was. I just love it. There's just a ship that skims the photosphere, picks up that stellar mass as fuel. That kind of stuff is really good science fiction. It goes into places because if anyone who likes science fiction is going to like science fact. And it tends to also happen that if you like science fiction, you tend to like fantasy, right? You tend to like the Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, 1980s Beastmaster. Remember that one? Holy cow. Beastmaster. Look, there were some 1980s TV shows and movies that were, they tried to go. Conan started it, right? Conan the Barbarian is still, I think, one of my favorite movies. I think it's still top 10 in my movie, in my list of movies. Or maybe it's not one time, but it always kind of like somehow, you know how your probably top 10 list of movies will change. I think Conan the Barbarian is still. It was almost like that was Arnold Schwarzenegger's peak, and everything went down from there. But I mean, that's not fair. But and then I love complex horror. One of my favorite. If you guys want to watch a good movie, if you like horror movie, it's low budget, well, not too low budget. It Follows. If you want a good horror, It Follows. It kind of freak you out. It Follows from 2018. I forgot the director's name, the writer's name. And now he's doing something big. He's just got attached to something big. So, but if you do want to watch a good horror, It Follows. You get that entire sphere, right? I was a huge Dungeons and Dragons guy, old Dungeons, pre-Wizards of the Coast. And I'm a huge collector. I have got some pieces I have got a white box, the original Dungeons and Dragons white box. It's the only one I've seen in the original cellophane. I kid you not. It's in the original. Remember the Dungeons and Dragons, the white box, the original one, right after the brown box, the wood grain box. I have a white box that is, I believe it's the 5th edition. Which is the 4th, which is like and fully intact, almost pristine. You could tell, like, it's authentic. But it's kind of that stuff where, and this goes into Game of Thrones, where good fantasy, like The Witcher is bad fantasy, right? I go to things like the lighting in episode 6, the season finale. The lighting was just excellent. I mean, it was just excellent. The acting, the tone between characters, right? And that's a nod to the director, because the director directs the actors. They have script in hand. They've gone over the scenes multiple times. The actors have probably, done some practice sessions. The director has sort of told the actors what he wants. And they go through, and it's it all comes together. A good project requires a team, and that is what the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It really is. So we're gonna, before we get to Starfleet Academy, because there's a couple of interesting things going on with Starfleet Academy, and then we'll do some yak, and then I gotta finish packing. And you're not moving. I'm not looking forward to this move, but I do have 3 guys in a truck helping me. I never ask friends to help me move. I don't know about you guys. Mike, I don't know if you guys ever get quite literally solar energy. How do you power a ship throughout the universe? There's your answer. It was, it's a great idea. The Evil Jade. If you like very good science fiction, Expeditionary Force, listen to it. 21 plus books. Okay, well, there you go. Evil Jade, Expeditionary Force. I should usually write these things down, but I'll remember that. Okay. We will do that, Evil Jade. I like that, the Evil Jade. I think I would rather meet the Evil Jade than the good Jade. I don't know. It seems to me, if I had the choice, which one do I want to meet? I'll meet the Evil Jade, please. I'm a little more intrigued by the evil one, right? That's exactly right. So, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms creator explains that the finale title change. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, I assume, Mike, you said cheers because you do have a beverage at hand. I'm only having a little bit this evening because having to move. I love the soothing feeling of red wine. I don't like drinking too much, but I do like that. Everyone has their vice. Red wine to me is a good. So you have a half a glass of red wine. Ooh, right. It just gives a little, it turns into Evil Danny is what it does. Evil Danny. Yeah. Jordan by Jordan Moreau. Knight of the Seven Kingdoms creator explains that finale title change going to Dorne in season 2, and which Targaryens will probably return. Now the is that landing okay? I think it is, right? Yeah. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, this is a great 6 episodes to binge. It's only 3.5 hours. I really hope they take it to 1 hour. Do 5 1-hour shows. That would be perfect. The dust has settled from the trial of the 7. Now, this is something I wanted to say about the trial of 7, guys. This is now from a writing perspective, and of course, I am a screenwriter. Literally, the trial of 7 came up. The very concept of a trial of 7, when you really think about it, it's kind of asinine. So you got a hedge knight, and he is told that in 18 hours, you've got to find 6 knights to fight with you against a Targaryen. The very concept of it, and you have to have time to sleep. You have all this other stuff. If you're going to have, it kind of set up, even when that happened in the 4th episode, it was kind of what? There's one thing I remember, hit me. What? Really? You would think, okay, give me a week. Like some of my nights, you think all the nights are hanging out at, you think some might be, what? Like, look, all of my friends are like hoeing and Dorn right now. I don't have any night friends here. Like, well, what am I supposed to, like, conceptually, you got to find 6 nights to fight on your side in 18 hours, and that includes the 8-hour sleep that you're going to need going into the fight and everything else and getting ready for it and sharpening your swords and doing this and yada, yada, yada. Oh, yeah, and go out there and find 6. Conceptually, it didn't work for me. Now, you can easily drop the idea of logic. You can. But I remember that when he's sitting there breaking the walnuts open. From a screenwriting, I thought, okay, that doesn't, it didn't, so, you got, like, what if Duncan did not know Little Egg? Because basically Little Egg, I think, brought most of the people, right? The concept of it is, you get why you want it from a writing perspective, but the setup felt sloppy. Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to start this at 8 a.m. Like, really, like, look, man, you know what? I get a pedicure at 7. I like to wash up. I like my sausage egg McMuffin before I even start my day. We got to make this noon, right? It kind of, and I think most of the time it happened later in the evening, into the late or middle afternoons. All of these jousts and everything like that. They didn't like fighting in the morning. But anyway, like, there's a few things that I could point to that I felt were, it's like, oh, okay, well, you know what? You just go with it. But still, with a high quality show, it's okay to point to some of these things that were kind of like, I mean, that was kind of like, all right, well, I don't know. And the other thing was was the flashback in the middle of the fight. I get it. Was it bad? No. Was it good? Well, I don't know if it was great. It did give us some context. Was it the place to do it? I don't know. When you're doing things creatively, it's like, even when I was a songwriter, right? You're talking about songs that you listen to you pick any artist you want, Aerosmith. Now, they don't have any new songs, but, or do they? I don't even know. But when you listen to a song, do you say, well, I wouldn't have done the bridge like that. I would have taken into the chorus. I would have started off with the low octave and then going up into the fifth. But I guess we're more prone to do that in TV shows, but also you have to have some musical theory behind you to this. I mean, anyone can look, the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, which, anything which is proper DEI. I mean proper DEI, my friends. There's bullshit DEI, then there's proper DEI. They will give it 95%, right? Who cares? I mean, right, the Acolyte, Starfleet Academy. I think Blood Origin. No, I think they actually, I don't know. Of course, that is a problem with the critics, the shill critics. Now, there should be laws against this. And I've said this before. A company called Fashion Nova got nailed with an $18 million fine because they weren't including 1s, 2s, or 3s, or some 3s in their product reviews on their website. That was the FCC. So if you're talking about movies, and IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes are manipulating scores, and they are, why is the FCC not coming down hard on them? They did it with Fashion Nova, $18 million fine. But I guess if you're big enough, right? If you're big enough, IMDb, Amazon. And it'd be interesting to really take a look and see how they treat their own products, their own movies, their own TV shows, to do an internal investigation, to have a couple of FCC peeps go in there and say, I want all the computer stuff. I want, did you bleach bit it? Did you with a cloth? Can we take a look at all the files? the review business, because every time something doesn't go right, and I know like we kind of veered away from the Seven Kingdoms, but this is kind of in the same vein. If things if, if things don't go well for a really shitty show like Starfleet Academy, right? For a really look objectively there, it's impossible to say anything nice about it. I try and think, from just from a pure screenwriting perspective, from a pure story perspective, it is literally, these are the scripts. If you are in English school and you're learning about screenplays, these would be the scripts that you would get from your professor to say, why do these scripts not work? Like you would go through and you would, nail the protagonist, the antagonist, and all these things within a script as to why it is story deficient. Look, we've been doing stories as human beings for millennia, right? We're going back thousands of years when we used to sit around campfires. There is always a great storyteller among us. And stories always have a consistent, you go back to the Odyssey. If you look at the story structure of the Odyssey, it is no different. The great stories written today, because this is how us as human beings consume great stories. And so we'll see how Christopher Nolan's take on it when it comes out. But look, you get a protagonist, antagonist. You have a reason for the protagonist to be doing what he is doing. It's a story of struggle against all odds. Can our protagonist prevail? We really don't care, this whole sexual orientation. And that's when things are being shoved down your throat from the viewer perspective, because we don't care. We don't care about heterosex. We don't care about gay sex. We don't care about non-binary. If you want that stuff, look, if you type up gay streaming services, there's like 20 of them. Go there, right? If you want hetero sex, it's called soft porn, right? You can go and get that stuff, the soft stuff. You can go watch a rom-com if you want. I don't care. Like, I really don't watch Star Trek. Look, sometimes I watch Star Trek, like the original series, right? Captain Kirk. Even Spock had a couple. That one girl in the Cloud City, she just loved Spock, and she was gorgeous, right? She was that gorgeous blonde with that kind of that bra she was. Even Bones had a couple. I don't think Scotty but Kirk, right? Kirk. The romance wasn't the story. There is this underlying story, a reason for the crew of the Star Trek to need to go somewhere to accomplish a task, and those tasks varied. And along the way, sometimes, there was sometimes romantic interlude, but it wasn't nothing to do. It didn't, But here in Starfleet Academy, well, if we go back to the Knights of the Seven Kingdom, it was a very clean story. I mean, granted, they showed a little poop, a little pee, a little throw up, a little bit of that stuff. But it was a good, clean story. Game of Thrones, I mean, they had a little bit of gay stuff going in there. But it wasn't about the sex. It wasn't about the, the story wasn't consumed by it. It was just, it was the scene, right? It was the scene. It was part of the story. Why? Because what's his name? He actually went, to the trial. What's his name? The old guy, the Sparrow. I forget, the names escape me, but he got Cersei. He got so the fact that he was gay played into the actual story. He was persecuted because of it. was part of the story. We needed to see the evidence. We saw the evidence. It was a part of the story. It wasn't like season 5, episode 7 of Stranger Things, which, I mean, that whole episode was a little strange, where the reveal had nothing to do with anything whatsoever except for being a social commentary on being gay, on gayness. No one is confused by any of this. But anyway, the dust has settled from the trial of the seven. The wounded are patching up their injuries, and the Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 1 has come to an end. Peter Claffey did a great job. Pretty hard to argue. Is pretty banged up, like everyone is banged up. But yeah, he's like, and the best line. After his knights won in their down and dirty fight against Aerion Targaryen, played by Finn Bennett, the one thing that I didn't hear anyone say, I listened to to 3 or 4 other people channels talking about this, but and I mentioned this in one of I think the night that it happened. He won with the ground and pound, right? He won with the UFC ground and pound. With the shield, it's the ground and pound, right? That's what happened. That was how Dunk won. He used some UFC. Dana White should have been commentating on that. The ground and frickin' pound. It brings me to something else, which I didn't quite like. I didn't like was the fake death. He kind of dies, and then he comes back to life. Cheap. It reminded me of Glenn in The Walking Dead, where he was supposed to have died, but luckily he got under the garbage and we found out he didn't die. I would have rather have had, instead of him dying, put to the part where Aerion is literally doing more damage on him, where set it up so that instead of just I died and I came back to life because people were yelling at me. I thought that was kind of cheap. So for me, I would have done it a different way. Did it work? It worked. It worked. That was the other kind of weak thing that I would have changed. I mentioned it came to mind, so I threw it. Where are we here? There we go. Even though Dunk was victorious, he feels guilty after Baelor Targaryen, Bertie Carvel, he did a great job. His teammate and heir to the Iron Throne died after he accidentally fatal mace to the back of the head from Baelor's own brother, Maekar. And that was really what episode 6 was all about. The whole tone. I'm not sure who wrote it. Ira Parker wrote it. The whole tone was guilt. It was, and it was different ways to express that guilt from the other characters around him. But that's what that was the whole thing behind that. That kind of, it allows characters to grow. We realize that this is a character who he's going through a lot. Mental anxiety. Here's an heir to the throne who died because of him. That's a pretty big deal. After Baelor's funeral, Maekar asked Dunk to serve him and take his son Egg as his squire, but Dunk says he's done with princesses after all this. As the tourney wraps up and he's visited by the ghost of his mentor, Sir Arlen of Pennytree. I think it was a little bit of a flashback. I don't know if it was visited. I thought it was a flashback or a dream or something. Dunk soon reconsiders and decides to take Egg away for the malevolent influence of his Targaryen family. Against Maekar's wishes, Dunk and Egg ride. No, okay, wait a sec. That is incorrect. Dunk doesn't reconsider. He does reconsider, but Maekar doesn't want Egg sleeping in ditches and stuff like that, right? So Dunk starts riding away, and then Egg pops in, says that, oh yeah, he's letting me go. Of course he's not. Dunk and Egg ride away together as knight and squire. Dunk honors Sir Arlen's tradition by nailing a penny to the tree before they depart, and Arlen's ghost rides with him and sets off in his own path. Now, that was a really significant thing, though, at the end of episode 6. That was so significant. That means so much to Dunk as a character. Everything that Dunk was doing in this first 6 episodes had everything to do with the memory of Sir Arlen. Everything. His very being, everything that he is was an extension of Sir Arlen. Everything. I try to be a good man like Sir Arlen taught me to be. And everything will refer back to Sir Arlen. When you saw Dunk and Egg riding away, and you saw Sir Arlen, and he just like 90 degrees left with like not even just like it was like a angular. That meant that is a huge change for that character. That is the arc. That is the arc. A young man who was absolutely entwined with his mentor's life. It ends with Dunk leaving his memory behind. I am now my own man. I am now Sir Arlen, and Egg is the Dunk, like the young Dunk. From a story perspective, it means that a lot for next season. Is, you know, what I would say. It's not just it's. I mean, that was pretty deep. I thought from a writing perspective, that was pretty deep because it was so exaggerated the way Sir Arlen just took off to the left. On their new journey, Dunk and Egg discuss heading to Dorne. So we're to the new stuff here, right? Yeah. On their new journey, Dunk and Egg discuss heading to Dorne. I have not read the books. Heading to Dorne, the southern desert region of Westeros. In the final scene, Maekar searches for Egg as his wagons take off, hinting that there may be some Targaryen crossover next season. Speaking with Variety co-creator and showrunner Ira Parker reveals that season 2 will cover George R.R. Martin's second Dunk and Egg novella. Novella, such a cool word, right? No, it's cute, a little novella. The Mystery Knight, why Martin shot down one of the original titles of the show, and more. That's maybe me getting a little, to start off with, what's up with the Knight of the Nine Kingdoms title at the end? That's maybe me getting a little too jokey. People may hate it or crucify me for that, but there's a bit of a lighter touch on these shows. People are going to have a reaction to it, and I'm going to have a reaction to it after not seeing it for a few months, and we'll see. I like it. Enough of the wonderful creatives that I worked with liked it. I'm just skip that sentence. It came from an honest place. It's all true. It is Nine Kingdoms. It is. Egg recited them. It's like, oh yeah, well yeah. I guess it's just the 7 main ones. I guess, right? We just need the 7 main ones. We don't need the we don't need the chicken shit little ones. I don't. What are the small ones? I guess the Iron Islands, right? Yeah. How did one of the characters call it? Those shit-stained rocks. You can go back to those shit-stained, back in the old original GOT, right? Tarth? Is Tarth one of the kingdoms? No. Tarth isn't one of the kingdoms, is it? We want to make Westeros a fun place to hang out, even when terrible things are happening and everyone's sad, just like real life. Well, look, if you're doing a TV show and everyone's freaking happy, it ain't going to be popular. I mean, Starfleet Academy, for example, just like real life, you can still make jokes at a Shiva, and it's okay. We need that relief, so even in a bad spot, Dunk and Egg are still Dunk and Egg. Speaking of titles, was the show ever going to be called The Tales of Dunk and Egg, like in the novellas? Early on, George was like, "I just don't call it Dunk and Egg. It sounds like Laverne and Shirley. It sounds like a sitcom." I said, "Oh, absolutely fine." As it got really late into the game, when we were putting the final touches in post-production process, I did sort of waver a little bit, and I said, "Everyone's just going to call it Dunk and Egg. So why don't we call it that?" Then I was talked down by my assistant that it wasn't a wise idea. And I agree. It's nice to see a show called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms and come there to find out that it's just a little lighter and has some fun than setting people up with Dunk and Egg. And you sort of know what you're going to get, I hope. I agree with that because a title does set off the overall tone. If you don't know Dunk and Egg and going into it, look, this is a lot more Dunk than Egg. Egg is still kind of like a, supporting character to the protagonist who is Dunk, right? Night of the Seven Kingdoms was a good choice. Are Dunk and Egg going to Dorne in season 2? They do go to Dorne. How much of that we cover, I'll leave it up to people to tune in for season 2. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it yet. For the most part, we're following the book. So season 1 was the Hedge Knight. Season 2 is the Sworn Sword. Hopefully, if we get season 3, it'll be the Mystery Knight. Well, the way season 1 went, it's a good chance you're going to get season 3. Good chance. Turn it into a 1-hour show, please. Please. 1 hour. Jade is a programming language. I think I'm going to go back in time here. One of the unique things in the series was bro hug that Raymond and Dunk. I've never seen this in any other movie or show. One of the unique things that was comfort. Oh, you wrote the same thing twice. Therefore, I read it twice. You son of a gun, you little. There are, it went too fast. It went too fast. I would be, I guess, look, they're already filming. They got I would much rather have seen these, even if it's 45 minutes. Go in between, just put in filler for the last 15 minutes up until your next show, right? Look, HBO does that all the time. 30 minutes, that is one thing that I think I would, and I think a lot of people would say, come on, man. You're talking Three's Company length, right? Gilligan's Island length. Come on, man. Give us more. The novellas are each their own and separate story, but we will see if any of season 1 characters returning for season 2. It looks like Arion and Maekar could be looking for Egg at the end. Arion basically turned into the antagonist, right? We were lacking an antagonist for 2 or 3 episodes. Finally, we got one. And once when you realize that the first 2 or 3 episodes were good. They were entertaining. But once the real antagonist presents themselves, right? And the conflict presents itself, the tension presents itself. That's when things get fired up. I mean, that's when you don't have an antagonist, when you're sort of lacking that, you're doing a lot of character setup without the antagonist. It's one of those things that's basically going to happen, right? So the one thing about this show, the nobles, the kings, the queens are all terribly interesting. And they are, because the dialogue is good. The setup is good. They do a lot of show, no tell. And the example I always do, you cannot listen to Night of the Seven Kingdoms on the radio and fully understand what's going, because you need to watch the video, the scenes, the visuals. Starfleet Academy, you could put that motherfucker, that mofo, right on a podcast with no video, like an audiobook, and you wouldn't be nonetheless informed, because they tell you everything in the beginning of the scene. They go through everything, and by the end of it, they're given the big speech of why it happened and yada, yada, yada. There are a lot of shows within this world and other worlds that definitely cover that part. And we're not that. We are bottom up. We are in Dunk's point of view. And it does make it easier when you are screenwriting and you got one point of view. I'm telling you, it makes things easier because every perspective is defined by one person. Game of Thrones. How many perspectives did we have on that on any given show? That was some... Look, when they had the source material to work with, D&D did a pretty good job. You can't take that away from them. D&D did a great job. And this is what I tell people. There's this whole I'm going to say it again. I think this is the third time I've said it. Why is George R.R. Martin not finishing the series? It is simple, guys. Anyone, when a major broadcaster, streaming service, HBO, it doesn't matter who it is, Disney, Paramount, Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, any of them, when they buy the story, guys, they buy the story. They own it. They are not going to sink hundreds of millions of dollars into a show where they do not own the story. 100% rights to it. When they own it, they dictate it, guys. They dictate it because they're spending. Whoever spends the cash, they buy it and they control it. So I guarantee you, if we read in the contract with George R.R. Martin and HBO or whoever the parent company is, that it said that if George R.R. Martin does not finish the books, then the story will be completed by HBO, and HBO will have every right to complete the story in any way it sees fit. And that George R.R. Martin will not have the right to finish the said books because the story is written. Imagine if HBO, if you purchased Game of Thrones, you'd want that in the contract. You are not going to allow a second ending to occur from the main guy who wrote the novels, so that your ending becomes shite. It becomes nothing. It becomes zero. Why is George R.R. Martin not finishing the books? Because he does not own the story. It is owned by HBO. Now, George R.R. Martin still retains the rights for the sale of the books up until where he ended off, but I will guarantee you 100%, HBO has been doing this for a very long time. They told George R.R. Martin, finish the books so that when we get, you got 7 years, 6 years, you got a lot of time, George. Finish them, and as you finish them, we will. But he didn't. And the second the crossover happened, HBO had every right to finish the story, and George R.R. Martin has no right because he doesn't own the story. He doesn't own the story. He cannot add to that story up until where it ends. There's probably some very definitive language where it ends. Any Jon Snow story will have to start as HBO ended it. Well, it depends on the language. I don't know what the language is. But I'll guarantee you, George R.R. Martin, and George R.R. Martin, he doesn't want to talk about it because he look even stupider, that he had every opportunity to finish the books. As the show was progressing, it's season 5. George, maybe you should finish. Maybe you should finish so that D&D, Dumb and Dumber. Remember them? DB and Dave. But no, so George does, I guarantee you, George does not even have the legal right to finish the books, because the last thing HBO needs is their entire series to be absolutely shat on because the original writer decided, you know what, he can't. And so it's just best they don't talk about it. And I've seen, I know, what's his name? The Nerdrotic guy, good guy. Love his commentary. I think the guy knows his stuff. He does. He knows a lot more than I do in a lot of franchises. But he talks about this often, or I've seen him talk about it often. But there's nothing that's going to change. This is the reality. HBO owns the story. And George R.R. Martin has no legal right to do any more writing beyond the part where he ended, because HBO owns that. I mean, that's that's a bit of an aside, but it's an important aside for Game of Thrones. Do I know for sure? No. But do I know for sure? Yeah. That's how it works. That's how it works with scripts. That's the way it works. Where was I? We are in Dunk's point of view. Even minor lords and ladies, we don't allow ourselves to go behind the scenes in their point of views. For better or for worse, that is the storytelling lens that we have set up for this show. Whether or not somebody will come in and out of Dunk's world again, I would say probably. Westeros is, yes, that's all I'll say, yes. Oh, he was about to spill something. Oh, he was about to spill it. I would love, as a screenwriter, I would love to get my chops. Yeah, I would love to get my chops into writing some of this stuff. Great writing, especially when you have a team that understands what is supposed to be good writing. Because if you're in the writer's room of Starfleet Academy, for example, I mean, I wouldn't even. We'll get to it. We're getting to it. That's our thing. Will season 2 also be 6 episodes? Big question, guys. Right from the horse's mouth. Yeah. It really was the perfect amount for us. Honestly, HBO is wonderful. They said anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes is fine. You had 60 minutes? Oh my God. Ara Parker, you had 60 minutes. And you landed the shows on the low end? Dude, you could have... Okay, that's big news. You could have had 6 one-hour episodes. I don't know what that means for the budget. Okay, that's a little... I mean, I'll be honest, I did not have time to read the full article. So this is new to me too. They said anywhere between 30 and 60 minutes is fine. Okay, Ira, which gives us a very... okay, that's... If you had 60 minutes, why did you not do 6 60-minute episodes? Was it budget? But once your scenes are established, I mean, okay, that's a little, guys, that's a little disappointing. How much of Blackfire Rebellions will we learn about in season 2? This is where the whole, where what's his name is Henry Cavill coming in to be in season 2. The Blackfire Rebellions are in and out of their lives for Duncan Egg, all the way up until pretty late, I'd say. The second Blackfire Rebellion factors in pretty heavily into one of the books, and obviously we make a few mentions to it in season 1. But I'd say it's important background. It's important background, and it informs a lot of the characters that they come in contact with. Essentially, we are 15 years outside of a massive civil war. And there's still a lot of those lingering resentments. Now, I do know, even though I haven't read the books, I know some of the material. And look, there's some juicy stuff that they really should get this show. Call it, they don't do 6 one-hour shows every year. One of the promises I made to George very early on is that I really wouldn't create story. We are adding to the character and the world. We're writing this TV show as if George had written a novel instead of a novella. I wouldn't agree with that. You did the first episode like it was a novella. I mean, it was 6 30-minute episodes. It was teensy weeny, but you could have done 60 minutes. Look, if you could, Ira, if you could have done 60-minute episodes, you could have done, they said, anywhere between 30 and 60-minute episodes. I know I'm hanging on this. That's disappointing. I mean, that really is. Now, the novellas are basically done, right? I mean, so I'm sure that there is a clause in there, just like the original Game of Thrones, that they have HBO has the right. They're not going to tell us what that contract is. George isn't going to tell us what the contract is. HBO has a certain right up until here. We are buying your story from you, George R.R. Martin. And I'm sure they have Final Cut. 100% they have Final Cut. Whoever puts in the money gets Final Cut. This is the final episode that is going to air. Christopher Nolan almost always has Final Cut. James Cameron almost always has Final Cut. Steven Spielberg probably always has Final Cut. It's pretty rare to get Final Cut. You've got to be the best of the best before a studio will ever grant you Final Cut. It's a big deal. But we don't send people on any side quests, and we try not to get bogged down in history. These are nice little contained journeys. It's an action-adventure series almost. It's Dunk and his squire having fun and adventures, getting into trouble. Even if we do take 2 years between seasons. Wait a second. Dude! You're doing 6 30-minute episodes. What are you... Are you going to Mexico and hoeing on the beaches of... Well, don't go to Mexico. There's a little bit of violence going on there. I'm just going to say. Southern France, Greece, the beaches of Greece. What are you going to do? You only got to do 6 30-minute. You could do 6 60-minute episodes. It seems like what you're telling us that HBO said, do anywhere between 30 and 60 episodes or 60 minutes. And then you give them the episodes. They're like, what'd you do? Well, we did 6 30-minute episodes. What? You had... Okay. Even if we take 2 years between seasons, it's only 3 hours of TV, brah. There are no cliffhangers. We've told the story and wrapped it up. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and you can come back and see their journey next time. On Sunday, I did mention that. Again, if I was the screenwriter, I would have put something in there. A little bit of a cliffhanger. You could have put in one scene a squire for Arion. Maybe he was by his side, right? Remember when little Dunk walked in? He was going to have the knife. And maybe when Maker walks in, maybe the little squire walks in. So we only need to see him for like 3, 4, 5 seconds. And then as Dunk and Egg ride off and Arlen takes off, all we need to see is a side profile for 1 second. Second and a half, 2 seconds, as they ride off. A side profile that it's almost like, wait a sec, what the hell was that? Was that guy? Was that the guy that was, wait, what? I mean, that's just one idea, right? You don't want to make it so obvious. It needs to be, wait a sec. Now people start talking, because basically, what are they talking about? We're talking about nothing until season 2. You didn't leave anything to discuss. That is bad writing. Although most of the season was good, look, man, this is TV. You got to do it a certain way. That's what I would have done. People are going to say, Danny, you're being, I don't know. No, look, you left us with nothing. You left us with a full arc of Dunk and Egg right off. And don't ride thunder. Don't ever ride thunder unless I allow you to. Look, the acting was great. The characters were great. I could have. I'll go back to season 1 of whatchamacallit, the dragon ones, the Targaryen ones, the season 1 with Amelia Alcock and everything, where they had two time jumps, major time jumps. Season 1 I was not happy with season 1. 2 time jumps? I think the casting is good. I mean, season 2 screwed up in a couple of places, but look, season 2 was better than season 1. There is some raw meat in season 2, right? House of the Dragon. Thank you. But season 1 of House of the Dragon, you remember it? Like, whoa, what are you guys doing? I mean, if I was in the writer's room, I said, guys, like, can we just pump the brakes here? Like, you're going to do... Okay, I mean, look, I'm not the decision maker here. I'm just saying it wasn't the best way to do the first season of House of the Dragon. I would have did it differently. You could have just started with with them as adults, and you could have just done a few flashbacks to make the points. Flashbacks, if done the right way, can be extremely interesting. They can be extremely interesting if they're done the right way. You need to think them through. You need to leave mystery. You need to have an entire story going on with the flashback where you're like, you want to see the next flashback. It's like, oh my God, what happens next? Oh my God, they left us there with the flashback? And you have like two stories writing in parallel. It's a very powerful writing tool. Hard to do right. Hard to direct right and get that, So there's a lot of things I would have looked. A lot of things I would have done differently. I wouldn't have done the dead thing where, like I said, Dunk dies and then magically comes to life. There's so many ways you could have built the tension in different ways. Did it work? It was okay. Look, it's okay. Don't yell at me, okay? Come on. The ending should have left us with, whoa. No one followed Egg? Maker was so dumb he didn't have anyone following him? We should have had one character that we saw just for maybe could be a big fucker, right? Like a mountain, right? Like the Hound. Like someone, it's almost like this guy is going to be the antagonist in some way for season 2. And we see a split second of him at the end, almost to the point where we're like, wait, was that guy? Wait, whoa, okay, I gotta talk. I got something to say. But we don't get that. It's gonna be, if he's talking about 2 years between seasons, 6 30-minute episodes where you could have did a 1-hour episode, you could have had 360 minutes of content, and you gave us 190? Era, sit down. Sit. But anyway, it was good. We enjoyed it. It was good. It was good. Starfleet. Oh, God. You know what? I was expecting to have a 1-hour show tonight because I'm in the middle of moving, right? I'm in the middle of moving the entire studio. So on Thursday night, big show, which is in about, 47 hours, I'm going to move. I got everything packed, my entire life packed except the studio. There's like boxes and everything everywhere. And I just got to do the studio and I got to move everything tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then set everything up again. I got other channels. I got a Facebook channel, so I do science. I got quite a very big Facebook channel. I have a TikTok channel. I got a shorts channel. I got a YouTube science channel. So there's like a few things I pump content out on, right? So, but that's okay. The one thing when you start doing this stuff, especially as a screenwriter, I spent 20 years in Hollywood. I just got out recently. I love doing this stuff. I love hearing what other people have to say, the comments, I like it if we don't agree with everything, but hey, that's what it's all about. There's a lot more people that are much more knowledgeable than I am. I mean, I think I'm pretty good with, things like Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica. There are people that are like vastly more knowledgeable than I, obviously. But I am poprageous. I'm here for commentary. I'm not here for the deep. I will learn off you guys, but I'm here to rub a few faces in a little bit of poop because they pooped it out. So look, if you're going to poop this out, I'm going to take a look at that. Bad girl, bad boy, bad girl, bad boy. That's how you teach. You know how you teach these writers? You know how you teach them? You pull their pants down and you spank them. Spank that ass, Leslie. You spank them. You know what you do to the writing crew of Starfleet Academy? You pull down their pants and you spank them. I wish I had that scene ready to. What a great scene, right? Who's the key grip? You go to that director and punch him in the face really fucking hard. Remember that? Sorry, man. That big guy, that fucking big guy. You see his mitts? That guy's got mitts like, holy jeez, boom. What a great, look, every scene in Tropic Thunder is fucking good, guys. You can do a screenwriting analysis on that screenplay, trying to figure out why it worked so well. You'll never get to the answer because it's the actors. It's the nuances provided between, the relationships between like Robert Downey Jr. and Ben Stiller, how they act and react, and then all the other characters. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. And luckily for us, Starfleet Academy is a comedy too, guys. It's also a comedy. Goodbye, Duncan Egg. Hello, Starfleet Academy. What do we got here? So you guys, the last episode I did the Love Boat, the Starfleet Academy. Do you guys know that I played the parts of the Love Boat theme, the Love Boat, and I named off some of the relationships? I was not content copyrighted for it. I wasn't. I was actually content copyrighted for what? For the bride, for like 20 seconds, 15 seconds of showing the bride. Like, you will get nailed for trailers. Some trailers. So why are you putting out a trailer? So you don't want us to talk about your frickin' movie? So if we play a little bit of your stupid trailer, you're going to copyright us? Fuck you. Like, seriously, that is just... But the Love Boat stuff, the Love Boat music, it's still in there because I was not copyrighted on it. We had Jaden, Kyle, and Darren. We have Jet and Lura, right? Jedahar, Klingon, human. I love to see those kids. Wait a sec. Newsflash. 2 females cannot... I guess this is Starfleet Academy. They will find a way. They will find a way to have kids, right? Jet and Lura? They'll find a way. Is it Luna or Lura? It's Lura, right? We had Abe. The question is, does Abe get back together with Obel Wochak? Remember that 7'6", big guy, right? She's like Danny DeVito towers over Captain Abe. I think they get together. Abe and Kelrick, the chance. Abe and Noose Braca. I mean, there's some Vegas odds on that one, but But we got we got Gaten and Darren, we got Kyra and Darren, we've got Kyle, we've got all this. Caleb, this is like 90210. However, there is somebody now. There is somebody. Her name is Rachel Leishman. Got to keep her on a leash. Rachel Leishman. I was like, oh jeez. Oh, geez. Now, the one thing I got to go through, I don't want to go through the whole article. I might, I don't know. Okay. Let me set this up here. But she is, and I did the research, right? She talks about how she's such a big fan of Star Wars. So I dug through her name and everything she's ever written. Everything she's ever written, every review she's ever done. Do you think anything Star Trek ever came back in the history of this person? Well, I'm not going to tell you the answer. I'll show you the answer. Look, man, this is show business. We show, don't tell here. Well, we do a little bit of both, but that's what we're going to get into, my friend. That's what we're getting into. I got to reshare this? All right, I'll reshare that. I'll share my screen. I'm cool with that. So here we go, my friends. Sometimes these things are... There we go. That's perfect. Oh, that is perfect. Because I don't read from the screen. I actually read from the actual what the screen that I'm sharing from. So I really don't see what's going on live TV. You kind of always want to keep an eyeball. So let's get busy. Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. I mean, that is really a crime in itself. To preface that with Star Trek, Starfleet Academy continues the trend of bringing joy. Holy shit, am I ever joyful every time to franchises? So why are certain people so angry about that? Do I look angry? Look, there's nothing better than people that got no freaking idea what they're doing, exposing themselves for the actual crap, garbage, shit writers that they are. You think people are angry? You're being laughed at. Dear God, do you not see it? You are literally being laughed at. We're laughing at you. We're not angry. Do you see Genesis? Do you see Genesis in that image? Am I right? Are you guys? That is. I mean, actually, they're all laughing, right? They're all laughing. Look at Caleb. Caleb's got a little. He's like, he's probably took a glance down at a Genesis butt, and he's thinking, you know what? I got myself a little Tarima already. I might get myself a little. He had every opportunity to get some in the last episode. He just didn't get payment. He said, oh yeah, I'll break into a starship bridge. That's a great idea. On the promise that I might get a little hama. You were one fabric layer away from getting payment. It's like, okay, wait a hold, Genesis, before I do break into the bridge, look, the entire argument. So what's her reason? Well, I don't want to sit in a chair. You've sit in the captain's chair. Yeah, my dad's captain's chair. Okay, so now you want to sit in Commander Abe's chair? Like, what's the fucking difference? From a logic perspective, from a motivation side, doesn't Caleb go, what? Doesn't someone, like, you know what Caleb needs? What's his name? Eric Cartman. He's got the Valentine. He's got the two Cartmans. That's what he needs. They need to introduce a couple of supporting characters, little 2-inch characters, the evil Caleb and the good Caleb. Because he's not smart enough to make decisions on his own. This guy is dumb. This guy, Caleb is dumb. Instead of getting a little hama, he's out there chasing warp slugs. You used me? You used me? Of course she did it. She's a woman. This is what they do. There's a reason I'm single. Guy, there's a reason I'm single. It's a conscious decision. Gated, look at like just the whole. Let's make lemonade. I still got that one, right? I got let's make lemonade. Yeah, I am someone who loves. Okay, this is. She is the editor-in-chief of the Mary Sue guys. The editor-in-chief, Rachel Leishman, and listen to what she says. I don't think we need to go through the whole thing. I am someone who loves when my favorite franchises and properties have new stories to tell. So basically, she's saying that her favorite franchises and properties. You must have a history of talking about this stuff in the fandom, just in your own blog posts, just, something that isn't in the last, call it 36 months. There must be a wealth of information of you discussing it. As a fan of both Star Trek and Star Wars, of course you are. Of course you are. It's been wonderful to see them both grow in recent years. Specifics? Do you have any specifics? Grow in what way? Do you have any specific series, movies? I would love to say, hey, did you like that last Star Wars movie that came out in 2023? Oh, you did? Okay, good. But that's not how others feel about these franchises. That is, you stupid ass, Rachel. You stupid cow. But that is not how others feel about these franchises. This is literally, you're talking to most people who watched the original series, each episode 20 frickin' times. I've watched the Tribble episode 40, 50. I don't even know how many times I've watched it. I've watched Spock die. I can't even count how many times I have cried to watching Spock die and have him say, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Do you know how many freaking Kleenex boxes I have gone through? And your dumbass, this is what makes it so funny. Your dumbass, you are trying to tell other people who have loved this franchise for over 5 decades that we feel differently about this franchise? Use dumb, man. Use dumb. There should be like, you got to post your IQ. Every time you write something, here's your IQ. IQ, you just post. I know it's a 2-digit integer. I know it is. Whatever that number is, you got to post it, Rachel. Recently, there has been an uptick in vitriol spewed at the new series Star Trek Starfleet Academy. We're laughing at it. Fans have decided that this series is woke, which it is, which it is Star Trek. We all know. Do you guys remember that one of the best episodes? What was the name of it? Where it was half white and half black. I think that was freaking genius. Gene Roddenberry, genius. The one guy comes on, white on the one side, black on the other side. And it's right before they go to commercial, right? And Kirk goes, well, wait, what are you guys talking about? You guys are the same race. You're the same people. What do you mean we're the same people? It's like that was insult, right? We're not the same. What do you mean? And of course, you look at them. He's black on the left side. I'm black on the right side. And you're like, oh my God. That is genius. What that is telling us, literally talking about color blindness, right? Does it matter if you're left or left black on one side, left white on the other, or what, vice versa? I mean, it didn't matter to us, but it mattered to them for whatever reason, right? And that played into this amazing episode, a science fiction episode. That's still one of my favorite episodes. And of course, they've got there's a race that's supposed to have been obliterated, right? Wiped out. But apparently they're still around. They found a colony because we have seen them. And recently there's been an uptick in by your definition of woke, the entire franchise falls into that descriptor. But more than that, the show itself is just a celebration of the franchise as well as a doorway for new fans. No, it's not. It's not. No, because I'll tell you why. Star Trek Starfleet Academy. You have had 8 episodes. You have had 8 episodes. 8. Let's compare this. 7 1-hour episodes. 4.2, and you have 25,000 reviews. Only 25,000 reviews. Who's freaking watching this thing? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you said nobody, you do win the grand prize of Rachel Leishman's affection. Oh, you don't want that. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We have 6 half-hour episodes. How many people do you think have reviewed on IMDb? If you said 159,000, my friends, you are correct. That number again for night. Thank you. I think Rachel Leishman just texted me. Why, you shut that foul mouth of your boy, I'll kick your ass. Oh, you want to go? Rachel, you want to go? We'll go in the ring. We'll put 16-ounce gloves on. You want to go? You want to go toe to toe? I will represent the fans of Star Trek. You can represent the new fans of Star Trek. So 159,000, 190 minutes of show compared to 420 minutes of show, 25,000. That is a 600% difference. 600% difference or 7 times. You got to remember, right? Because if you say 100%, that's double, right? You got to always get it. You know, it's tricky. It is tricky. Let's make lemon. Oh, that's the next piece. But you're definitely a lot of so-called fans. Yes, I am a so-called fan. I'm just so. Yes. I was watching Star Trek before you were even a sperm or an egg cell. I'm kind of, what kind of a fan are you, Danny? Well, I think I've been referred to as so-so. It's a so-so fan. A lot of so-so fans get furious that a show isn't perfect. Yeah, that's the problem with Starfleet Academy. It's just not perfect. It's freaking great. It's just not perfect. Recreation of the original series. Nobody wants to see the original series. Nobody. I mean, that would be stupider. We're gonna try and recreate the original series. What? You can't think of freaking anything new in the like Star Trek. Oh my God. I could like hit my head with a hammer and write out 10 episodes of Star Trek and just still, you know, I mean, there is so many, because I'm a science guy. I have a science channel. I love all that shit dealing with the universe, dimensions, the whole idea of the observable universe, and everything that goes on, from magnetars to neutron stars to black holes to the nebula to gravity, the four forces: electromagnetic, the gravity, the strong nuclear, the weak nuclear force. All this stuff. This is the stuff that Star Trek episodes should be based on. I want to see an episode. I did on my science channel, an episode about artificial gravity. Like, guys, it is really hard. Like, I don't think they will ever find a way to do artificial gravity. Even if you get magnetic boots and all this stuff, if you got a cup of coffee, what's going to happen to that coffee? You can't, everything's got to be I would love to see an episode with gravity. We've never had, and any show has never sort of touched on what's creating all this artificial gravity for you guys? Because only density of mass or energy can create gravity. That's it. There's nothing else that can create gravity. I don't want to, burst your Starfleet Academy bubble. But look, Rachel Leishman, she's big enough. Look, she makes a lot of gravity because she's big. She's a big girl. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Beauty is in the, I'm not going to answer that. For me, Rachel is talking first person. For me, Starfleet Academy is filled with joy. It's joy. The show is happy, fun, and an exciting series to watch. That's how I feel about a lot of the newer additions to legacy franchises. But the joy that is present within these stories seems to really anger. Oh my God, yes, it's the joy. You guys are people are having so much fun with these episodes, and because it's not a freaking story. You stupid ass. Rachel, you really are dumb. You know nothing. I checked your IMDb page, and I'm going to show everyone her IMDb page. What have you written? What is your background? You're a failed actress. Feminist who works at the Mary Sue. And you're telling I mean, really? You're telling people that have lived Star Trek for decades what Star Trek is? You? And probably an overly privileged spoon in her mouth. Oh no, I grew up in fuck you. It's look, nothing can wash away the fact that you are stupid about TV, about story, about what makes great story. What's wrong with the TV and movie business? You. I know it hurts. I know it hurts to hear it. It's people like you that are wrong with movies and television. Specifically, those that I care about: science fiction, fantasy, horror. I write demonic horror. I like demonic. I like really. I don't like blood. I'm not a blood guy. I like the psychological horror, and there's not really a whole lot of good psycho. It Follows. I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. It Follows. If you guys want a good horror, you ever watch It Follows. Believe me, you'll go, Danny, thank you. Thank you, Danny. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's not filled with joy. It's not filled with joy. Joy. The more I hear of these criticisms of things like Starfleet Academy or the hatred thrown at the acolyte, it's always hatred, right? If you don't like something, if you have to critique it, it's always hatred. Oh, the hate. Oh my God. Think of a new word. You're so dumb. You're juvenile. I'm talking to a 4-year-old when I feel like I'm talking to you, Rachel. Like, you're dumb. You must have this high of an IQ to speak about science. This is science. Instead of critiquing other people about critiquing, do a live show. Come on, do a live show. Give us a 10-minute live synopsis about all of your years' experience in Star Trek. Give us, refer to some of the years of watching all of those, your favorite characters. Name them all, go back and reference them to Starfleet. Give us a 10-minute live show, not a freaking edited, recorded, blah, blah, blah. Screw that, baby. Give us a live 10-minute review. When the episode ends, the more I hear of these criticisms of like Starfleet Academy or the hatred thrown up, I realize that maybe these fans are just a bit miserable. Yeah, because why else would they be that furious that a show has a little bit of fun with the franchise that you claim to love so completely? Give us a specific what you think is a little bit of fun. I would like you to describe the story specifics. Protagonist, antagonist, inciting incident, all these things that go into a great story of any one of these episodes. Anyone, put it this way, anyone who is a screenwriting teacher, anyone who has any experience in the advanced experience in screenwriting, what these stories are, if they're any good, there's a reason why it's a 4.2. Are you all just miserable? Miserables? Oh, we're just all miserables. Now, I could go on. I think the important thing here, here we go. So here we go, you see. 4.2, 25,000 votes. This is 7 episodes, guys. Here we have 8.9, 159,000. 6 half-hour TV shows. Now, if you go, this is our girl. This is a girl. What the hell is that? Holy jeez. I mean, change your profile picture, honey. You got no. So anyway, guys, this is. Right. Is this the one? Or, no, wait, I got that already. So I got this already all set up. So this is Rachel Leishman movies, all of her movies that she has reviewed going back to 2018. 2018. Now, Control F, right? Let's type in star. Oh, there's a few. Trek. Oh, there's no, on her entire page of reviews going back to 2018, she has reviewed no Star Trek. This is in RottenTomato.com critics, Rachel Leishman. Nothing. Now, Rachel, this Google search, as you can see, is Rachel Leishman Star Trek. Whoop, I don't want that. And when you go through there's nothing notable. Except for Starfleet Academy associated with her name. Nothing. There is no Star Trek prop. And I did the deep dive. Rachel Leishman is the editor-in-chief of Mary Sue. She's been writing professionally since 2016, but was always obsessed with movies. Of course she was. But there is nothing. And if you go to her images, of course, if you look at all of her images that deal with Star Trek. There's a picture of Zoe Saldana. I don't know what that has to do with, yeah. But basically, what the? Okay. Excuse. Let me indulge. Let me just indulge me.
Kind of like my home.
Well, I wanted to start with you because you give Riker a run for his money in the way you sit in chairs in this show.
What's this?
It is my favorite thing watching how Nala's going to sit on it.
Okay, hold on, guys.
Any piece of furniture kind of like my home.
This is new. I did not see this. This is a Rachel Leishman interview with. Okay, I don't. Are we breaking something here? That I have not seen this. We gotta watch this, guys. Hold on a sec. Where's the TikTok volume? We got full. Okay. This is Rachel Leishman interviewing Holly Hunter.
Well, I wanted to start with you because you give Riker a run for his money in the way you sit in chairs in this show. It is my favorite thing watching how Nala's going to sit on any piece of furniture. But it is such an important part of.
That is her favorite. That is her favorite thing about the show is how she sits in furniture. That is such a sci-fi thing to say, right? Oh my fucking God. Holy shit. What did I... For those of you just joining us...
Nala's going to sit on any piece of furniture. But it is such an... Because you give Riker a run for his money in the way you sit in chairs in this show. It is my favorite thing watching how Nala's going to sit on any piece of furniture. But it is such an important part of it, like being a captain, is how like they sit in the chair and what they do in the chair. For you, what
It's such an important thing. Look, guys, can I be honest? As a starship captain, there are times when the entire crew leaves the bridge. Sulu's gone, Spock's gone, Chekhov is gone, Uhura's off. She's off shift. I'm Captain Danny, so I can lock the door. And when I lock the door of that starship elevator, there's only one way you get on, baby. I lock that door. What I do on that chair, look, what I do on that chair is not your fucking business, okay? That's what I got. It's not your freaking business what I do on my captain's chair. You see these calluses? Sorry, left hand. You see these calluses? I'm right-handed, so it's a left hand, right? It just feels like someone else is doing it.
was that process like of figuring out like how she was going to move and function, especially in like the fun ways that you kind of do in the show?
Well, I kind of, in a way, I wanted Nala to be a person who stays loose. There's a looseness to her. There's a malleability. She's like, like water. And
Can you just wait a sec? All she's asking, Holly, is you sit in this chair very casually, like you're doing stuff in there that just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and you're giving us this answer about malleability and water and liquid and like there are no straight answers with Starfleet Academy. There's no straight answers. There's nothing. We can't even get a straight answer from Captain Abe as to why she sits in that chair like a sloth.
And Nala can mean like water in the desert. And I was like, oh, water is kind of a cool thing to play with. And I just...
Is water really a cool thing to play with? Honestly, is water, it's a cool thing to play in. I don't know. I never go, Danny, where are you going? Well, I'm going to go play with water.
Wanted to like make any piece of furniture kind of like my home. So it's like kind of an investigation. It's an exploration into my physical life. Where I am physically is felt. I live it. So, because I'm 422.
I was going to say, you're 422 years old.
It's
going to be comfortable in the world.
Let's examine it. It's like a kind of more of a visceral, sensorial life that I wanted her to have.
Awesome. Did we get an answer? I don't think Holly, just answer the freaking question.
Yeah.
Just for her own enjoyment, for her own, fun.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to stop it.
Wanted to make any piece of furniture come.
I want to stop it. Where was it?
Yeah.
Just for her own enjoyment.
Right there. That is Rachel Leishman, guys. That is Rachel Leishman. That is one of the biggest fans of Star Trek. She is the biggest fan of Star Trek because, as you know, I've done the deep diving. The only thing she has ever talked about is this one Star Trek show, but yet somehow she is a lifelong freaking fan. They can't even answer. Why is it that Thank you. Evil Jade, I know that you were a screenwriter, but I get sad that a lot of current screenwriters don't respect the original writer of the material. So let me explain that to you, okay? I know that you read a book, you read a comic, or why it is a book is not a TV show or a movie. The two mediums are so drastically different. A novelist has endless pages to write and write and write and write. When you're doing a 1-hour TV show or a 30-minute TV show or a 2-hour movie, every scene is so important. So you need to focus on why you like the protagonist, who the antagonist is, what's the conflict between them, what is the protagonist trying to achieve, what happens if the protagonist does not achieve the goal that is set out, that the antagonist is trying to prevent the protagonist from achieving. When you write a movie or a television show, it needs to be hyper-focused. So you can't put in so many of and a lot of the concepts that work in a comic book or a novel. Look, if you want to write something in a novel, I think this novel is going to be an extra 100 pages. Okay, well, I mean, the publisher says, well, fine, do it. Well, we'll charge extra. In a movie, you don't go to the studio head and go, well, you know what? Each page on a page in a screenplay is 1 minute. That's why formatting is so important. If a screenplay is not exactly formatted as it's supposed to, garbage. You just can't add 20 pages. That's 20 minutes. Right? Like some of these big auteurs do that. Zack Snyder. Well, hey Zack, how is that cinematic cut coming? Well, it's good. We're at 6 hours. we're at 6 hours, but I'm going to hopefully get it down to about a 5.5 hour movie, finished movie release for cinemas. 5.5 hours. That was part of the problem with the Zackverse. Give us a just give us a 2-hour movie, buddy. Every scene in a movie is so critically important. Not 1 second should go by in a movie that hasn't been thought out and does not have a reason for why it's there. So you will never have, as much as you want to see, I would like to see that. Now, Zack Snyder did do that perfectly with 300, right? He took the graphic novel in 300. It was his best movie. Why? He didn't have to write anything. So I actually have it here somewhere. The 300 graphic novel by, what's his name? Miller. First name, the Miller guy. He used it as a storyboard. Every frame he actually used as his storyboard. So when you watch the movie and you're going through with the graphic novel, every scene is the graphic novel. Now that's different. So a graphic novel can represent a screenplay pretty easily. A novel that is 800 pages, 500 pages, I don't care how many pages. So you're never going to get that. That's the easiest explanation I can give you. And a lot of things that work in novels, they do not work on TV shows. It's like taking a movie and novelizing it. You're going to change and add a lot to that movie. Well, we took, if the Terminator started with a movie, then you wrote a book about it, the book would be so different than the movie. It's like, well, why just change the source material? Did I? I added to it. No, but you changed the source material from the movie. So that is why it's always going to happen. Novels and the source material is not the movie. It's not a screenplay. Screenplays are specific. And it may not line up to the source material. Look, most people don't care. The diehards care. Most people don't care. I don't care. I don't. If the story is fucking kick-ass and they change it up, I'm okay. As long as you gave me something that I spent money on, it's like, you know what? They changed it, but fuck, that was so good. Oh, man. That's what we want. Example, Rift War Cycle, a great series, but I personally don't trust the writers on it. That's fair. That's fair if you don't trust them. Not overly familiar with it, but a lot of, if you get too emotionally attached to the particular story in the idiom that it was constructed, you're going to be disappointed. Understand that when you change mediums, how that story is told is going to change. So how I tell, let's say we're around a campfire, and I'm going to tell you the story of season 1 Starfleet Academy. It's going to be very different from actually watching the first season or an episode or Night of the Seven Kingdoms. After watching it, I'm going to describe it to you around a campfire. One night, we're going to have some wine, some s'mores, but it's going to be very different than the movie or the TV show because the medium has changed. If you're going to novelize, well, it's already novelized. It's going from a novella to if you're going to turn a graphic novel, it'll probably be closer to the TV show than it will be to the books. Vivander 807 says, Zack does okay when he has a storyboard. Oh yeah, there you go. And Watchmen, right? Watchmen is another good one. Exactly. Did you just write that? Oh, I think you might have wrote that when we were talking about. That is when, when Zack, look, guy. What's it called? Harvest Moon. Wait a sec. That's a song by. That's the song by. What's his name? The 60s. The 60s. Woke as all hell guitar dude. Why do I get not Harvest Moon? Why can I not remember it? I extensively reviewed Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon. Fuck, some of the stupidest motivations, character. This entire powerful, empire is concerned about this one little group of people on this frickin', and I want your grain. Give me your fucking grain. We need to make bread. We don't have enough bread for our people. Oh my God, Zack, stay. Zack is capable of some pretty amazing visuals. He is. You could argue, would I want the return of Zack verse over gun verse? I would. I would take the Zack verse. Notice how I say Zack verse over Snyder verse? It's my thing. It's just my thing. I think I just made it up. I don't know. I think Zack Snyder is capable of some amazing visuals. He is. He is. Look, he does some things really well. But there's other things like just stay out of it, bro. And then he comes and he tries to argue his way into qualify why he is. Dude, don't like it should be obvious what you are good at. Zack, look, there's shit that you are really good at, my friend. You are. But when you try and do the full package, Rebel Moon, OMG. Did you guys watch the director's cut of Rebel Moon? And the 30 minutes of harvesting grain, the slow motion, the sweat, like holy shit. You know what? If my name was Gaiden off of Starfleet Academy, I mean, I'd be auditioning finger puppets. I literally would. I would be auditioning. I would be like wrestling with Cyclops watching that shit go off like that. Zack, do we really need this much grain harvesting in the final edit? I mean, there's a few, but yes, Zack Snyder is capable of some pretty amazing things. There were some very easy ways to fix Batman v Superman. There's some ways that you could fix that to make it so satisfying, to make the motivations work. And I know that comes from the comic book. And there's guys that are very good at comic books. I'm not. I'm a screenwriter. I'm a writer. The Nerdrotic guy, he is he is the de facto comic book guy. If you have any comic book questions, go to Nerdrotic. Go to Gary Beekler. Gary Beekler. I will not argue with him on comics. When it comes to screenwriting or the mechanics of story or things like that, so those are some of the things that I fall into but anyway, it is a bit of an aside. But guys, can I zoom in on that? How do I?
I just wanted to make.
What was that? Okay, not part of the show. Sorry, guys, not part of the show. Not part of the show.
I just wanted to make any piece of furniture kind of like my home.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We don't want to see that again. We don't want to see that again. Okay. Oh, that was actually. No, thank you. You guys are terrific. I am moving tomorrow at 10 a.m. Then the first thing I'm going to do is get the studio put back together for the Thursday night big show. I mean, that's in 45 hours from now. So I told myself an hour show tonight. That's it. So I got to tear down the studio and then I got to pack it up because the 3 guys in a truck are coming tomorrow at 10 a.m. Guys, can I do a little aside and offer some good advice? If you're ever moving, I've been around the block, okay? I've been around the block. Don't ask friends to help you move, okay? Now, look, not everyone can afford to just rent or to get, you know, 2 guys in a truck or something. It's usually not, you can usually get a good move if you're prepared, get it done in $500, $600, $700. Look, the things that your friends are going to break is probably worth it. But if you're going to move, these guys pick stuff up and move it at 5 times the pace your friends do. They'll move 2 boxes and then they'll sit down and you end up doing half the work. Hire 2 guys in a truck or 3 guys in a truck. It is the biggest advice. And then what you say, thank you. Then what you say when they ask you to help you move, because you've never asked them to help you move, ever. What you say, hey Danny, can you help me move? I don't read the script. Script reads me. What does that even mean? It's like, I know, I don't. Look, there's a reason I didn't ask you to move me. It's the same reason I don't want to move you. No, I don't want pizza and I don't want beer. I don't drink beer. Corona once in a while, right? I'll do a Corona once in a while. Once in a while. Vivander 807 tells us, Zack Snyder has no sense of restraint when keeping a visual short and pithy. That is true. He has no context in terms of what the visual should represent. It's almost visual narcissism. And I've been on both sides of the camera. I'm lots of editing. I've done, you know, the screenwriting, editing, even a little bit of directing, a little bit of show development. So I've been there, understanding what the scene is for. It's like a narcissist thing. I filmed all of these. I have all of this footage and I think it looks so amazing. And I want everyone to see everything that I've shot because I am a filmmaking narcissist. It's a true statement, guys, where you want every single second of footage. It's only interesting to you, to everyone. And it's understanding. This is what a good director, a writer, producer, editor, understanding what is actually entertaining, what needs to be in the movie. Zack Snyder is not a good he is a film movie narcissist. He wants to show all of his everything. He wants to show everything to everybody because he thinks everything he's filmed, every second of it, is fucking amazing. It's not. It's not. It's terrible. He wasted a full minute on a stair climbing scene in the Snyder cut. Infinity War did something similar in a 1-second clip. Yeah, that is a good example. And there's lots of examples. You're like, why? You know, it's like the Mandalorian walking. It's like, oh my God. Okay. Why have you not cut? Why have you not edited from this scene? He's still walking. The Mandalorian is still walking. Yes, it is. That is. Yeah, Vander. I would 100% agree. 100% agree. You nailed it, brother. You freaking nailed it. So I have this. I got this thing. I think. Next week, Joe Rogan. Ooh, yeah, Joe Rogan. So, guys, I used to be a kickboxer. I used to kickboxer for 8 years. I had my time in the ring. I took my hits. I gave some hits. Joe Rogan. How old is Joe Rogan? He's 58 years old. I am 58 years old. How tall is Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan is 5'8". How tall am I? Well, I'm about 5'9". Call it 5'8". I say 5. So we are the same, except I'm a normie, right? He's in the MMA stuff, right? And I still work out. I get in the bag, boom, you're working. What if a normie like me, Danny Alex v. Joe Rogan, a normie, I don't think it's pay-per-view quality. It's just like it's a few cut scenes and like the JRE and probably a full episode for me, obviously. But what if a 58-year-old normie versus 58-year-old Joe Rogan, who are both maybe I think I'm 3 months older than him or younger. I got 3 months. I do have it. I call it. I have an inch. I might have a half an inch reach advantage. You know. Joe Rogan v. Danny Alex. I'm just saying that could be something that you will see before summertime. I will call his people. The one rule is I get to have a white towel, and the second I throw that white towel in, it's done. Like, I get to quit whatever I want. I get my ass handed to me. I know I would. I get my ass handed to me. I would. What? So Rachel Leishman, she does go. I don't even know if I want to. How much further I want to explore into this. You know what? We'll go a little bit deeper. How are we? An hour 50. I thought I was gonna have an hour show tonight. Let's make lemonade. We'll finish this baby off. We're back on Thursday, the Thursday big show. It's going to be a scramble getting it together because, like I say, I'm moving tomorrow. Oh man, oh jeez. But I'll get it done. Starfleet Academy is a harmless show. Explain that. What does that even mean? Starfleet Academy is a harmless show. Now, again, this is. Can I get it again? This is the person we're talking about on the bottom. That's Rachel Leishman. Oh, she's wearing. Look, she's wearing a t-shirt. She's wearing a Star Trek t-shirt. I love Star Trek because I wear t-shirts. That's how do you know I love Star Trek? Because I wear t-shirts. I'm wearing a Star Trek t-shirt, motherfucker. To me, it's a series that allows new fans of Star Trek, right, all 25,000 of them, of which 24,897 to happily entire the franchise without being overwhelmed at the prospect. Part of what makes these franchises and stories so universal is what we can share them with new No, it's not. Like, you don't even get the freaking idea what makes this so special. Star Trek is so special because it takes the human psyche, the human condition, as we exist within our normal reality, and it allows us to explore the universe through the human condition. And all of the things that our imagination allows us to bring to the table as a story. Not frickin' 90210 or Melrose Place at a frickin' 33rd century San Francisco. Of course you pick San Francisco. That's an important phrase right there. But so many fans are stuck in this idea that the only stories worthwhile were the ones from the past. That is the stupidest thing. You're just literally, it is shocking. Every sentence, Rachel, you are defining how stupid you are. You are literally showing everybody who likes Star Trek, Star Wars, or just science fiction why you know nothing about the genre, because you don't like the genre. You don't like it. Your feminist ass has usurped it, taken over it with a bunch of your other feminist Alex Kurtzman buddies. He doesn't even like Star Trek. He said it as much. He doesn't like, and he doesn't know. Well. Just admit it. You're dumb. You're Star Trek dumb. You can't pass yourself off as someone who likes Star Trek. It's not working. That's not true. These stories are meant to give new fans a chance to find something to love, and for older fans of these franchises, we get to live with these stories time and time again. Oh, I will live with the Cisco episode forever. Oh, Cisco. I think that's a great thing. But for some reason, there's a subset of fans. Well, actually, you are the subset of fan. Furious. No one's furious. We're laughing at your stupidity, at how dumb you are. You're the one thing, you let a stupid person, you let them keep talking because they just continuously prove and how inept on the subject that they're trying to talk about. You've said nothing. You know nothing about Star Trek because you've said nothing about it. I'll tell you what, Rachel, give me a call. We'll do a live 30-minute debate. Live. No edits. Just a live 30-minute debate, baby. Hey, baby, give me a call. Give me a call. Let's talk some Star Trek. Let's talk some Star Trek. I think that's a great thing. And for some reason, why you don't enjoy fun stories within your favorite franchise? There's nothing. These are so stupid. This is like going to a movie. This is the best analogy I can give, guys. This is the best analogy I can give. You go to a movie. You're at the big Cineplex. You've got maybe a few friends. You could be by yourself. I love going to see movies by myself. I prefer it, actually. I do. You got the popcorn, you got everything, and you're about to watch whatever movie it is you've been waiting to see, and someone oh yeah, this person. Oh geez, I had her on the screen the whole time. This person walks out on the screen with a chair and a book. And this person below here, Rachel Leishman, instead of watching the movie, she says, "Today, everyone, I'm going to tell you a story, and I do have some pictures that I drew that will help illustrate the story that I'm about to tell." And she reads you out the story with a whole bunch of little, stickman pictures that she drew of Star Trek. Why would someone want to watch this? It's okay. Wait a sec. It's literally, you're watching the worst type of storytelling within your favorite genre. People who have the equivalent of a grade 5 screenwriting education. You are watching people literally write stick figures in a 90210 atmosphere with a movie or a TV franchise that demands a higher level of thinking. Star Trek demands a higher level of thinking. But when you have low IQ people that know nothing about that higher level of thinking, that don't understand the universe, what warp technology is, matter, antimatter, all this stuff that makes space and science. That's what fires us up. It's space, it's science, it's the universe. It's about the what if. What if we could harness the power of Ton 618 or UHZ1? What if we could harness the power of Phoenix A? How big is Phoenix A today? We don't know. We know based on looking at it from a few billion light years away. But these are the questions. What's a void? What are these giant black voids in the middle of the universe where you have hundreds of millions of light years with very few stars and galaxies? Or galaxies, right? At that scale. That's Star Trek. It's not these stupid little 90210 because your level of thinking, you're so science dumb. Rachel, she's the one at the bottom, right? She's the one at the bottom. You are so science stupid. And it's not intended as an insult. You are literally science dumb, okay? It's like, look, I'm not going to go into arguing with you on feminism maybe I would argue with you on feminism. I mean, your feminism literally shows every insecurity you have. Your inability, you need to use a hammer to hit people with. Just so you get your way. Well, if you don't get your way and you don't see it my way, you're a freaking misogynist. Well, no, you're just dumb. I mean, literally, look, and it's not intended to insult you, Rachel. You're dumb. You're science dumb. You're Star Trek dumb. You're screenwriting dumb. You're a writing. I was an English major. I don't think you were. You're a failed actress. I've seen your IMDb. You're a failed actress. I mean, I can pull it up. I don't even want to pull up your IMDb. You have 3 titles. You're a failed actress, right? So you're a shit actress. You couldn't do it. You probably went to hundreds of auditions. You got a couple of short little Mickey Mouse things. You got something, two acting, and you're failed. And somehow you got into the Mary Sue. You got into the Mary Sue. And you're telling Star Trek fans what Star Trek is. Okay. Okay, Rachel. Okay. Just go play with your blocks. Here's some Lego blocks. Go in the corner and play with your blocks. See if you can build a little starship. Build the starship vagina. Or the Athena. The Athena. But Rachel, why you don't enjoy fun stories within your favorite franchises? Oh my God, there's such good stories. You know, I mean, we explored, guys, we explored warp slugs. What the fuck is a warp slug? We need Carl Sagan. Well, a warp slug is something that we've never really encountered before. They have billions and billions of planets that they inhabit. Rachel, honestly, stop and think. When you go home tonight, just look at yourself in the mirror and go, all right, fuck. All right, they caught me. They caught me. I am science dumb. I am science stupid. But that's what makes me a great person. Oh my God. I don't know what I gotta. That's what makes me a great person. Rachel. One of our first questions was, hey, how do you get one of those things? You know, when the Star Trek people, they go to those thingies and they hit a button and the thing opens up and food comes out. Can I get one of those at my apartment? Like a button and food comes out? Well, it's called the McDonald's drive-thru, honey. That's what it's called, the McDonald's drive. Hey, man, I had McDonald's today, okay? I had McDonald's today. What did I have? What did I have, guys? I had a double Big Mac, extra large fries, extra frickin' large fries, bottled water, and a fillet of fish. Extra onions on the double Big Mac, extra onions, extra tartar sauce on the fillet of fish. Oh, that's something else. But that was my dinner. Guys, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sorry, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed my McDonald's. To finish this off, guys, shows like Starfleet Academy are filled with joy. Such joy. I so love it. Just so from a joy. And a love for the Star Trek franchise. Again, give me a call. I would love to debate you for 30 minutes live, Rachel. We each get 2 minutes. But you haven't said anything. You haven't critiqued the show. You haven't said anything about the dynamics, the stories, the characters, why it connects so well to the old franchises or old stories, why it is. You've said nothing except you're like a social rat. You're there to just stir shit up. You're just there to say it's really good and then pass blame on to other people who don't agree with you. But not once have you qualified your own opinion except to say, oh my God, it's so fun. I mean, I really enjoy it. How come you don't like fun? You guys don't like fun? This is fun and you don't like fun? Oh my God, you don't like Star Trek then? Okay, what? Oh my God, you are literally like, Rachel, Look, you're a failed actress. You're failed in Hollywood. You're working at the Mary Sue. Isn't that a fucking hint? It's, you know, every decision you've ever made in your life up until now has landed you at the Mary Sue? I mean, what? Very Star Trek. Right? Very, very, very Star Trek. If you don't think otherwise, then I don't really know what to tell you. Tell us something factual about the stories contained in Starfleet Academy. The only question, the question that you had to ask Holly Hunter was how she sits in her chair? You think that's a Star Trek question? You know, you the way you sit in your chair, you sit so naturally, you kind of put your feet up, you sort of like, get back. It's like, and even Holly Hunter's answer was like, what the fuck am I listening to? I mean, I know what you need to tell us. You've told us nothing except it's so much fun. And why do you not like fun stuff? I don't like painting my toenails. I don't like painting my nails and doing all the stuff that girls do. It's not fun. The stuff that you're talking about is girly fun. You don't know what Star Trek is. You don't. You're Star Trek dumb. You're science fiction dumb. What's 12 times 17? $204, isn't it? 204? I did that in my head. I think it's 204. 12, 144, 5, 12, 60. 204, right? It's 204. 17 times 12, 204. I think it's 204. But maybe we need to look deeper at the hatred. They always go to hatred, right? They're so dumb. They're so dumb. Throw the new entries into these franchises and why these so-called fans are so angry that there is joy and happiness in these stories. Oh my God, listen to this person. This is like someone who has had so much, you know, in those 60s. Joy, power, love, man. I fucking love you, man. Are you this stupid? This is you critiquing. So instead of actually critiquing the show, telling us a little bit about it, you spent the entire article telling us why fun, joy it is, and why the other people. So instead of attacking other people's positions, defend your own position. Defend your position. Don't attack others people's. No one is angry. We're laughing at you, you stupid cow. Dear God, you're dumb. Baby, you're dumb. Oh, geez. Thanks. I know he does. It's fucking... Rogan is strong, too. He's strong, too. Joe Rogan's got a solid... he's got a solid punch. I mean, I got a pretty good punch. When I was in the ring, my spinning back kick was fast. Always been fast with a spinning back kick. The front snap kick... roundhouse, and of course your side kick. There's a few kicks. Spinning roundhouse, you gotta hit with a few punches to the head. You gotta see that little, you know, and then you get into your spinning roundhouse. Your spinning side kick, because you keep that when you do a spinning side kick, you spin and you keep your leg inside, so you're very compact. You do a roundhouse, you're opening yourself up, right? You open yourself up with a spinning roundhouse. Front snap kick, fucking brilliant, right? You just 10 minutes front snap right into the solar plexus. Hard thing to get, right? Because a good fighter is always going to back. But look, if we did if Danny Alex v. Joe Rogan happened, it's not like we'll be fighting to this degree, right? I hope not. If I could get my ass handed to me, Joe Rogan, no, he would kick my ass. I know. I'm not saying I would. He would have to go easy on me, like, you know. It'd be fun shits and giggles. Then we go for a steak and maybe a couple of beers and a glass of red wine and talk about it, but. A show that breaks the world in which resides cannot be considered harmless. Well, yeah, it breaks the franchise, right? It destroys the franchise. It destroys the meaning. Could you imagine if Gene Roddenberry Imagine if Gene Roddenberry was alive today and Gene Roddenberry is attached to every Star Trek. So his name is attached to this. Again, I've said this before. If I was the grandson, I think I'm old enough to be his son. Maybe not. No, I think I have to be his grandson. Even first cousin. I don't care what. I would be up in arms. Gene Roddenberry should have put his trust. He might have sold the story rights or the control of the story before he passed away. I don't know that. I don't know the mechanics of his estate. He should have kept, but in his estate, it says that his name has to be same with Peter Jackson, with everything Lord of the Rings. Everything Lord of the Rings will have Peter Jackson on it. That's not a particularly good idea when you have some crap coming out like Starfleet Academy. It's not a good idea. Just George R.R. Martin will have anything to do with his stories long after he is in the next life, based on stories written by George R.R. Martin. 100 years from now, it'll still say that, right? It'll still say that. So for our grab bag, we, if basically the grab bag is to wrap things up, finish things off. What do we want to talk about? I don't want to say the biggest problem that is with science fiction that there's way too much women in it. But look, guys are before you. I hope misogynist me. Listen to what I have to say. If you take a look at where in the STEM science faculties, it is literally 92% men. 92% men. Women are the best at cosplay, right? At the Comic-Cons. Women are the best. You guys are so passionate and you set this stuff up in a way that guys can't. It just so happens that most of the fans are men. I have never dated a woman, a girl. In my 4 decades of dating, that would watch a Star Trek show with me or Star Wars, and I've never even had a girlfriend that will go with me to a sci-fi movie. It's always been with my guy friends, like honestly. You have to understand and appreciate science fiction if you want to appreciate the power of a Star Trek, the power of a Star Wars, the power of Battlestar Galactica. I mean, I have ideas for Battlestar Galactica. If I could write some, oh my God, if I could write, I'd be pitching a tent. I'd be pitching a tent. Because I'm a science guy. My science channel is called Dimension Zero. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I have Dimension Zero Daily, which I just do shorts. Longs are very hard to do given everything that I do now with Poprageous and all of the other. I'm 18 hours a day, 7 days a week doing content. But it's because we like science fiction, right? We love science. We love the idea of what a wormhole might be, understanding. Like even Avatar, like the propulsion system that they use are the big sails. There's a huge laser array built around Earth, and they fire a laser. They use photons as the accelerant, right? And they hits the sail, and the ISV Venture Star goes to 70%. Now, this is based on real science. This goes Rachel Leishman, boom. Right over her head. What? What is that? Antimatter laser? What's a laser? We appreciate science. We like science. And that's why it's called science fiction. Because it takes that fact part and it takes us to the dream level of traveling the stars. Imagine if you could be in the USS Enterprise and go from star system to star system, checking out all of these planets, what they look like, what they might be, and then going to the next one and the next one. That to me would be heaven. If I die and I get transported, I'm the captain of the USS Enterprise, and I go from stars, like going to all 400 billion stars in our Milky Way. That's what a science fiction person looks for. And we want that payoff because we are science fiction nerds. That's the payoff we look for. We don't look for warp slugs. It doesn't give us a payoff to our emotional content because we are science nerds. A photonic hologram does not excite us because it can't fucking happen. What's the power source? You need to have a power source. You can't have a photonic hologram just walking around. There needs to be a power source. Explain it to us. Give us some context. But these people are so science dumb, like Rachel Leishman, so dumb, so stupid, so absolutely dumb. If she had a science IQ, her science IQ would be like literally retarded, right? She'd be retarded. What'd you call me? I called you retarded. Science retarded. Not just, you're just not that bright when it comes to the stems. And it's not to be mean. Notice I'm not being mean. Go to your rom-coms. Go to rom-coms. Go to 90210. Go to I don't know what, is Jennifer Lopez making a new movie? God, even she's got into science fiction, right? Even she's into science fiction. What was it called? Atlas. Was it called Atlas? You watched that movie? Oh my God, guys. Oh, Jennifer, don't do science fiction. No, you don't. No. Arr, matey. That's the grab bag, guys. Thank you for watching tonight. My name is Danny Alex. I gotta move. The second we go dark, I'm tearing down this entire lighting, the backdrop, and everything's gonna be back up. So on Thursday night, I'll be in a whole new place. If it still looks the same, I've done my job. If it still looks the same, we'll see. But that's what I got in the next 44 hours. It's gonna 40 whatever hours. Guys, thank you for watching the Tuesday Big Show. My name is Danny Alex. We're going to be back on Thursday, the Big Show, and of course our big show, our flagship show, Pop Rageous Live. It's Saturday night. Of course, it's on Saturday night. I will see you on Thursday. Wish me luck with the move. I wish you guys luck in whatever you're doing tomorrow. Be safe. Be wise. Have a great sleep. And I will see you in a couple of days. Cheers. Oh, sorry. You're still there.
Yeah, baby. Why are you not entertained?
I'm sorry, baby. I didn't know it was your turn.
Fuck you. Look at me.
Yes.
What's wrong with being sexy? I mean, there's no...
Sex.
These go to 11.
Does that mean it's louder?